February sucks. Very much so. Let me rephrase that. February has to be improved to suck. It always does, unless you're one of those lucky enough to live where winter doesn't happen. Every February sucks, but this particular February seems to top all others. I was thinking about it, sitting on the balcony of my apartment, sipping coffee and smoking a cigarette. It's a nasty habit, I know, and I gave it up a long time ago when money was tight. But money isn't much of a problem now, and to tell you the truth, I don't really care anymore. But I don't smoke around my children. I don't want them to adopt my bad habits, and I don't want to expose them to secondhand smoke. But this weekend they will be with their grandparents, so I have some free time to sit and think. The worst February ever started with 2 weeks where we literally saw no sunshine. Gray skies, temperatures around 20 degrees, and several inches of snow. Everyone looked forward to Valentine's Day as if it held the hope of salvation. That year it fell on a Thursday, and so many people took the next day off that the editorial writers said we could have shut down the entire city on February 15th. My wife Linda and I had big plans for Valentine's Day, just like everyone else. Like everyone else, we woke up to 2 inches of new snow falling rapidly. By mid-afternoon, we were both sent home from work while we could still get somewhere. The entire city was closed. By the time we needed to get dressed for a night out on the town, all the roads were closed to non-essential traffic, and we changed into cozy sweaters. The great Valentine's Day date, movie dinner and dance that was supposed to make up for the previous 2 weeks of unspent atrocity consisted of frozen pizza and Frozen with the kids. The only dance we did that night was Emma and Timmy, ages 6 and 4 respectively, dancing in their bedrooms to the protests of, "You know there's no school tomorrow." When the kids were asleep, I held out the wine glass to Linda, sighing as I did so. "I'm sorry, honey," I said. "It wasn't supposed to turn out this way." "It's all right, Jim. It wasn't your fault, and it was fun to anticipate what you had planned for us. Plus, for that matter, I got a new evening gown," she said in response. "Which I haven't seen yet," I told her. "You know the rule. You don't see it until you take me outside in it," she said, raising her eyebrows. I stared at her, trying to imagine what she bought and how she would look in it. Everything she wears not only looks great on her, but it reflects who she is. She started sewing her own clothes in middle school and still does from time to time. She also sews many of the outfits for Emma. Anyone lucky enough to see her dressed up would think she was the most attractive woman in the room, but couldn't understand why, because there were more beautiful women there. I looked at the diamond ring I'd put on her finger almost 10 years ago, and it sparkled in the firelight. "Thank you for saying yes, Linda. I love you." I raised my glass. "To us. I love you too." "Here's to us," she replied with a smile. We sat in silence for a while. "Linda, I'm sorry I've been acting like a bear these past few days," I said. "You and the kids haven't done anything, and you deserve better from me. It's just this damn February, and it's—" "I know, Jim," she said quietly. "I'm sorry too. I've been just as bad. I think bears hibernating is the right idea. We really should hibernate until spring. We've all been on edge, even the kids. The people at my job are much worse than you are, though." "What's it like at your job?" "Same thing." "Well, look on the bright side, Jim. We have each other, we have our kids, we have our house, we know where we're going to eat." "Yeah, at the Wendy's," I said with a chuckle, remembering our first date so long ago. It was our standing joke. I'd met her in college. My parents had to withdraw their support to pay for my father's medical bills, and I refused to take out a loan. So after paying for tuition and books, I literally had no money. Linda was a little better off and offered to buy me a drink or go to Holland, but I wasn't satisfied with that, so I saved up to take her somewhere nice. She said I was being silly and stated that the goal was to spend time together and get to know each other better, and we could do that at the Wendy's. So we went there and the rest is history. We have since moved on to a different grade, but we still go to Wendy's from time to time for old time's sake. "Seriously," I said. "How do people get through times like this if they don't have love?" "Sometimes not." Linda shuddered. "A couple years ago, her high school boyfriend had killed himself with alcohol and pills on Valentine's Day night." "Well, we want to, and we will," I said. I set down my glass and took her hands in mine. "Happy Valentine's Day, my favorite wife." "Happy Valentine's Day, my beloved husband." We stared into each other's eyes for a minute, and then decided that we really should move this to the bedroom. We ended up with what the editorial writers thought was a 3-day weekend, thanks to the fact that we got about 2 feet of snow instead of the predicted 8 inches. Everything was closed, but fortunately, almost no one was without power, and many had snowmobiles, so everyone who really needed to get somewhere was able to do so. Our kids, of course, were thrilled. Mom and Dad were home all day, snow to play in, pizza to eat, and movies to watch, not to mention no school. What more could they want? Linda and I were very happy with the situation, too. There was no need to go anywhere or do anything, and we could enjoy our family at will. We didn't have to worry about food. Linda and I had both grown up in these parts, so we always made sure we had plenty of food and shared it with others just in case. Emma and Timmy were so tired that they didn't even fuss before bedtime and slept like logs. This, of course, allowed Linda and I to satisfy our hearts in a way that we usually had to send the kids out of the house. There were only a few things that seemed wrong to me that weekend. We had hundreds of movies in our house, but the kids only watched one. Frozen. Over and over and over and over again. Okay, it's a cute story. It has some good songs in it, but enough. And Linda still couldn't model a dress for me and wouldn't even let me look at it. Taking me outside means going out, not in, she said, smiling coquettishly. What if I promise to rid you of it? Is that close enough? I asked. Nice try, but no cigar, she said, unwilling to budge an inch. The real world returned early Sunday evening as the plows drove through our neighborhood. School and work were due on Monday, and we all sighed as we packed up. Just before bedtime, Emma and Timmy came into the living room, freshly washed and in their nightclothes. Big Sister, of course, was the spokesperson, standing as straight and tall as she could. Mommy, Daddy, this weekend was the best weekend ever. Thank you for playing with us, watching our movie with us, and being together for 3 whole days in a row. We love you. With those words, Daddy's girl climbed into my lap, and Mommy's boy climbed into Linda's. After hugging us with the cutest baby hugs in the world, they switched parents and did it again. I looked at Linda, and her eyes were as moist as mine. We love you too, I managed to murmur. We're so glad you're our children. That night, Linda and I made love until we felt like we were merged into one being. In the morning, we couldn't wipe the smiles off our faces, and neither could the children. In February, however, the harshness of everyday life returned, and the 3-day weekend became just a memory. Linda and I were just sprawled out on top of each other on the living room couch after finally putting Emma and Timmy down for the night when her phone rang. I groaned and said something, but I don't remember what it was. It's Dee, I have to buy it, she said. We had a loose circle of 5 couples that we would occasionally meet or go on dates with. We all met as married couples, so there were no awkward when you were single moments. We all had the same ideas about fidelity, that is, you just did it. It just wasn't negotiable. At least that's what I thought at the time. That way, when we went out, we could dance with each other's spouses if we wanted variety, and be assured of our safety. The closest we got was with Dee and her husband Dave. She and Linda were pretty much best friends forever. Answering the phone, Linda made a "I'll be brief" gesture. I could see Linda getting more and more excited as she talked to Dee. She was glowing when she finished talking and fell into my lap. So what was it? I asked. My face reflected her smile. Well, my dear husband, she said with a smirk, I know you think this awful February has gone on long enough. That's for sure, I said, reaching for my glass of wine. Linda grabbed my wrist to stop me and placed my hand firmly on her slender waist. Well, we're here lamenting that not only is this the worst February in the history of mankind, but we have to put up with an extra day, she said. Something didn't fit with the smile on her face, and I told her so. That's because Dee came up with a great idea, she said. The extra day of horror falls on Friday. What if we all get together, get a babysitter for the kids, have a nice dinner, then dance at a nice club, and then get a hotel room for the night? That way we can have a bit of a romp and not worry about getting home and end this horrible month right. I liked the idea, but I had a couple questions. What about getting from the club back to the hotel? Won't we have to drive? I asked. Beat me up if you want, but I'm almost always the one to ask what could go wrong with the plan. That's the best part, Jim, she said excitedly. You know the Madison's downtown? We used to have lunch there, remember? There's a dance club on the next block that Dave's coworkers go to. There's a live band there Friday night, and if you dine at the Madison, there's no cover charge. Phil and Jane have already asked Mrs. Porter to take their kids for the night, and they say she doesn't mind ours either. I need to think about that, I said, feigning brain activity. I wasn't really thinking, but I knew that if I acted like something was bothering me, she'd find a way to convince me. Instead, she grabbed a couch cushion and hit me over the head with it. Oh. Okay, I've already thought of that. Let's do it. But there's one condition, I told her. What is it? Linda looked at me suspiciously. I took her pretty face in my hands and looked into her blue eyes. You're wearing the dress you bought for Valentine's Day that I still haven't seen, I said. As you wish, my lord, she said with a smile. Your wish is my command. It was blue. The dress, I mean. Don't ask me to describe what color it was because I can't. All I can say is that it made her blue eyes look like they were glowing in the dark. It had long sleeves and a high neck, and the skirt came down below her knees, but it wasn't her grandmother's dress at all. The bottom of her skirt was flared and rippled enough when she walked to attract attention. When she danced, it was flirtatious in its own right. The smooth fabric made you want to run your hands over it, hiding and showing off the female form. Linda smiled as she slowly made her way down the stairs to where I waited for her, stunned and looking around. Dear Jim, she said softly. She covered my mouth, running her finger gently down my chin. I swallowed, but I still couldn't speak. It's still the same me, the same old me as always. You don't need to flatter me, though I admit I love it when you do, she said. You don't realize. You don't know how amazing you look. The words failed me. I took her slender hands in mine, leaned down and kissed them. Looking up, I saw that her eyes were shiny and moist, and a slight tremor flickered in her smile. I nodded. She understood. The 10 of us met at a restaurant. It was crowded on a Friday night, but we had reserved a table large enough for all 10 of us to eat together. We laughed, talked, and enjoyed a great meal, enjoying each other's company and savoring the fact that February was finally over. Linda was the most attractive woman in the room, and I must have told her that half a dozen times. I touched her arm, shoulder, or hand as often as I could find a reasonable excuse. She reciprocated and smiled as she looked into my eyes. This night was going to be unforgettable. We checked into our rooms and then headed to the club. Neither Linda nor I tolerate alcohol very well, so I usually designate a driver. I was glad I wouldn't have to do that tonight. Not that I minded, the safety of my friends was important to me, but I was looking forward to leaving Linda to herself as soon as possible. She seemed to be thinking the same thing. She left for a few minutes alone in our room, and when she returned, her beguiling, "I'm going to turn you on like this," smile was playing across her face. "We won't have to stay at the club for long, will we?" she whispered as we walked along. I knew how much Linda liked dancing with our friends, so she could very well have said, "I wouldn't want to wait too long before we were alone together, preferably naked." I grinned back at her. "It's up to you, baby," I said. She smacked me lightly on the top of my arm, then wrapped her arms around it and hung back. We made reservations at the club for 10 people, and good thing we did. Seems like a lot of other people were busy forgetting about February, but they weren't too busy to notice the 5 women in our group. "You're getting a lot of attention, baby," I whispered. "You are, as always, the most attractive woman in the room." "Oh, you." She looked up at me. "You know flattery will get you everywhere. Neither Linda nor I are great dancers, but we're not disgraced either. We just don't care. We're here to enjoy each other, not to entertain everyone else." So I danced with the love of my life, taking occasional breaks for hot wings and a drink. I stepped away to replenish the wings. When I returned, Dave was asking Linda to dance. I heard her answer. "I'd love to, Dave, and another time, but I want to make tonight special for Jim and me." "Tonight I'm going to dance with just him," she said. Was I proud? Happy? You better believe it. I spread my wings and whispered in Linda's ear. "So, is it time to leave already?" I asked. "Right after you brought a fresh plate of wings? What are you thinking?" "We're both going to need energy for what I have planned," I said, raising an eyebrow. She looked at me again and took my hand under the table. After a few minutes, the group took a break. In the relative silence, we heard loud laughter from another table and turned to look. "Hey, isn't that Mark Lavaliere?" asked Phil, craning his neck to examine me. Yes, yes, squeaked Dee excitedly. Mark Lavaliere was the head quarterback for the Sharks, our town's professional soccer team. Unlike many of the other players on the team, he lived here year-round. He had a reputation as a genuinely nice guy, and was as well known for his social activities as he was for his exploits on the field. Mark became the main topic of conversation around our table as the guys talked about his soccer exploits and the women praised his good deeds and good character. "It doesn't hurt that he's handsome either," Dee added. Linda and I knew who he was, but at that moment we weren't interested in anything but each other. We let the conversation overwhelm us, holding hands under the table. "Hey, you two, get a room," said Dee. Linda and I looked at each other. We hadn't even kissed. Well, not really kissing anyway. The fact that I was feeding her wings didn't count. Besides, we'd already gotten a room. What saved us from further awkwardness was when the band started playing again. "Shall we dance here or upstairs?" whispered I to Linda. Before she could answer, Jane stepped in. "Look, he's coming this way," she exclaimed. Sure enough, Lavaliere came out from behind his table and headed toward ours. I was amused by the reaction of the women at our table. 4 of them were primping and flaunting, chanting, pick me, pick me." Talk about an embarrassing display. If you think a woman can't flaunt when she's sitting down, think again. Linda lowered her eyes and squeezed my hand a little tighter. "Hi, I'm Mark. Would you like to dance?" he asked. He stood behind Linda's left shoulder and held out his hand to her. I felt her sigh and dropped my hand like a hot potato. I watched, stunned, as she turned her back to me without a word, held out her right hand to Mark, and rose gracefully from the chair without even dignifying me with a glance. I noticed that her hand had practically disappeared into his huge paw. I also noticed the look of delight on her face. At that moment, I simply ceased to exist in her mind. "Hey man, now my feelings are hurt." "I thought she was just dancing with you tonight," Dave said, chiding me. "Yeah, that's what I thought too," I muttered. "Relax, Jim. It's just a dance," Jane said, trying to reassure me. I tried to believe her, but I had a bad feeling about it. The band played a couple quick songs, and our entire table watched them dance. So did everyone else in the room. Mark was good, much better than I was, and Linda was clearly enjoying herself. Her partner and dress matched to show her off to perfection. Don't they look great together? "Come on, Jim, let's join them," Dee invited, clearly trying to distract me. "Thanks, but no thanks," I said sharply. The next song was slow. I watched Linda melt into his arms, fitting in perfectly as if she belonged there. He was good at it too. He must have practiced a lot, I thought to myself. Mark whispered something to Linda. She smiled sweetly back. He wasn't doing anything I could reasonably object to. He didn't dance any closer to her than I danced with Dee or Jane, and his hands stayed out of the way. Another slow song, this time a ballad. I saw the band leader taking his cues, watching my wife and her new partner. Mark was smiling as he held her in his arms. He was clearly pleased with what was happening. I had seen enough and was determined to put an end to it. I rose from the chair and felt Jane's hand on my arm. Hold on, Jim. Give her this. Don't spoil her mood, she said. I released my hand and looked at Linda's face. She clearly wanted to be exactly where she was and nowhere else. She didn't want me to interfere. In fact, I was nowhere present in her thoughts, and that was obvious. I sank back into my chair, heartbroken. Finally, the song ended. Mark nodded to the bandleader who started a faster song. He and Linda left the dance floor, smiling at each other but not touching, not even holding hands. Linda gave him one last beaming smile, turning to our table, and Mark to his own. The difference between a woman's best smile and her second best smile is small. If you don't know a woman well, you probably won't notice her at all. As Linda approached our table and our gazes met, her best smile was replaced by her second best smile. At that moment, I realized we had a problem. I keep telling you that you're the most attractive woman here, I whispered in her ear as I sat her down. I reached for her hand and took it in both of mine. Maybe it's time to head to our room for the next dance? For a moment, I could have sworn Linda was scared. Her eyes widened, and I felt her hand tremble. She recovered quickly and looked away from me across the table. Sorry, everyone, I just need to go to the bathroom. Linda, will you come with me? Asked Dee. Her voice could be heard far beyond our table. I was too busy wondering why she needed to let the whole room know. Linda looked at me apologetically. I'm sorry, Jim. I could use a refresher too, she said with a note of sadness in her voice. She got up and left without answering my question. Of course, the conversation immediately turned to why no woman walking with the group could go to the bathroom alone. I was just beginning to wonder why my friends were trying so hard to keep the conversation on that topic when Dee came back. She was alone. Where's Linda? Is she okay? I asked, practically screaming. Relax, Jim, Dee said, smiling. Linda's fine, she just has some things to do. You don't need to worry about her. She's a grown woman, you know. What did that mean, I wondered. Indeed, I was worried about Linda, but she was worried about me just the same. I put up with this bullying for about 5 minutes, and when Linda never came back, I had had enough. I got up and headed for the bar, bringing an empty plate with me as an excuse, and approached one of the female bartenders. Excuse me, but my wife went to the bathroom about 15 minutes ago and still hasn't come out, I said. She never stays that long. Could you go or send someone to make sure she's okay? The bartender threw me a questioning look. The plate in my hand gave me an idea. The wings are great and she loves spicy food, but every now and then she has a reaction. Really, I just want to know she's okay. Her name is Linda. Here, let me show you a picture of her, I said. I set my plate down and typed Linda's picture into my phone. The bartender was about to give me a sympathetic look when a voice sounded at my elbow. She's fine, you don't have to check, Dee said in an almost apologetic tone. She turned to the bartender. It's fine. I'll take care of it, she said, placing a $5 bill on the counter. I wondered why the bartender looked at me sympathetically as she tucked the bill into her pocket. What? Why did she go in there with you? Because you asked her to? I was completely confused. Jim, she's not in the restroom. She left the club, Dee said. I felt like I'd just been punched in the stomach. Gone? Without me? Why? What's the matter? Why didn't she tell me? Where did she go? Is she okay? I asked. I still didn't understand. Let's go to the end of the bar where we can get some privacy, Dee said. I just went where Dee dragged me. It was quieter in the dark corner at the end of the bar. She looked me in the eyes. Jim, Linda loves you. She loves you and the kids more than anything in the world, and she always will, and you know it. But she's going to spend tonight with Mark, she said. I stood there with my mouth open, staring at the stupidity, as if my whole world had ended. Pictures, or what was left of it, swirled frantically in my head. Linda at the top of the stairs in her beautiful blue dress. Linda at dinner. Linda at the club. Linda as we fed each other wings. Linda in asshole's arms. My Linda. The mother of our children. The love of my life. My anger was growing. So, on what should have been a special night for us, she dumps me for some asshole jock, I growled, looking at Dee. Jim, she hasn't left you. She's coming to your house tomorrow, and you'll have many more special nights together, she said. What is this woman smoking, I wondered. She didn't even have the guts to tell me to my face that she was leaving me. She just slipped out the back door like a snake, I said. And you helped her. Jim, listen to me. She didn't leave you, Dee began. Well, if she hasn't left me, then where the hell is she? She's definitely not with me now, is she? I spoke louder and louder, and I didn't care who heard me. Please calm down. People are looking at you. Look, I know you're hurting, but it's just today. Linda knows, we all know, that you are the only man for her and always will be. You're a good guy, Dee said condescendingly. Yeah, and we all know where a good guy ends up, don't we? I said through clenched teeth. Jim, it's not like that. You're putting too much importance on it. It's just tonight, and tomorrow she'll come back to you and everything will be the same, she said. I snorted. If she really believes that shit, nothing will change no matter what I say anyway. You don't understand. There's no tomorrow. So tell me, friend, what was your role in all of this? You didn't really have to go to the bathroom, did you? My wife gave you the signal, right? She told you to stall me and stay out of the way so she and Zasrans could escape in time? Dee nodded her head in embarrassment. Yes, she asked me to do that because she didn't want you to embarrass yourself by making a scene while Mark is here. She also asked me to make sure you remember that she loves you and will always come home to you, she said. Yes, I'll remember how much she loves me tonight, and for a long time to come, I thought. I could feel my anger building and my face reddening. More like she didn't want me to embarrass her by leaving her husband to spend the night with a jerk jock, I said. I guess it didn't occur to you, girlfriend, to remind her that she has a husband and a marriage, and she could lose them over this? Dee looked me in the eye. No, it's not, Dee said, because I know she won't lose you over this. You're too good a man to let that happen. I told her how lucky she was. She was lucky because the man every woman in this room wanted her. But she's even luckier that she has a husband who loves her enough to get over her resentment and not make a bigger deal out of it than she should. You know she will be willing to do whatever it takes, and for as long as it takes to make it up to you. What if there's no way to make amends? I asked. What if there's no way to make it right? Jim, I know how much you love Linda and how much she loves you. This shouldn't be a big deal. It's just one night, a one-time experience compared to all the years and all the love you two have for each other. It's not a big deal unless you do it yourself. I know it will come home to you, and I know you'll be okay in the end, she said. Dee spoke softly but firmly. All I had to do was not grab the stupid woman and shake her until her teeth gritted for talking such nonsense. She must be living in some alternate universe if she really thinks that way. So if asshole had chosen you like you wanted, you would have done the same? I asked her. I would, she threw her answer in my face. Does Dave know about this? I asked. No, and you don't have to, because I don't think it will ever happen, she said softly. Maybe I should tell him, I said. Jim, please don't. Don't think like that. I know you're hurting, but this isn't helping. Please come back to the table. Let us be distracted for a while. It's not like you haven't danced a single dance with me all night, she said, smiling. I wanted to dance with my wife, but thanks to you, her and Zasranj, that's no longer an option, is it? I also wanted a night alone with her, but that's obviously not going to happen either, I said. I turned my back to her and walked back to our table. At my appearance, the conversation at the table stopped abruptly. The averted eyes spoke for themselves. All our so-called friends now knew that my wife and asshole were making a cuckold out of me at this very moment. I wanted to strangle them. I wanted to tear this place apart. I wanted to find asshole and kick him in the balls by the middle of next week. Jim, are you going to be okay? Asked Dave hesitantly, sitting Dee down. I wanted to tell him what Dee had said and ask him if he was going to be okay, but I couldn't bring myself to say the words. I guess I haven't stopped being a good guy yet. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to work on that. It depends on what you mean by good, I said. A few nervous giggles erupted. I mean, yeah, it was a shitty thing to do, but you'll get over it, right? You're not going to divorce Linda over it, are you? Asked Dave. I don't see why not, I replied coldly. There was a collective sigh at the table. Why are you all surprised? I asked. We all know how we feel about cheating. One and done. We figured that out a long time ago. But Jim, that's Mark Lavaliere, intervened Dee. So what? I don't care who entertains her. If it's not me, that's it, I said angrily. I looked at Dave. What would you say if Dee went out with asshole for the night? Would you be okay with that? He blushed for a moment, then looked at his wife, who was busy studying a stain on the floor. Jim, what about your children? We all know how much you love them and how much they need you. Think about them before you do anything, Jane said. Her kids were about the same age as mine and were best buddies. You mean my wife is thinking about them right now? I asked. Well, that's why you hired a nanny so you wouldn't have to think about your kids, Dee said. I thought she meant to say something funny, but it came out the way it was supposed to. Come on, Jim, it's just one night. She'll never have an opportunity like this again. You wouldn't divorce Linda over one night, she added. Why not? I stared at her. An awkward silence followed. Jim, try thinking about it from a different perspective. Maybe that will help, Jane said, trying to sound sympathetic. What if the Sports Illustrated cover model in a swimsuit was here tonight? Let's say she picked you out of everyone here to dance with you and then offered to spend the night with you. Can you honestly say you wouldn't have been tempted? Can you honestly say you would have turned her down? The pleading look in her warm brown eyes made her look like an affectionate puppy, and usually got her what she wanted. But that wasn't going to happen. Not today. I stood up and looked at Jane. Yes, I might be tempted, but I'll say no, I said firmly. You see, I have a wife, and I don't want to hurt her. At least until tonight, that's what I would have done. There was deafening silence again. I looked around at all my former friends, and they were all on the side of my cheating wife. At that moment, I sincerely hoped that I would never see any of them again. A rather large and muscular bouncer walked toward our table. You guys in some kind of trouble? He asked in a deep baritonal voice. Yes, there is, and a big one, I said. I pulled out a $20 bill and tossed it on the table. Don't worry, I'm leaving, I said, raising one hand. He nodded his head as I turned to the others. That'll pay my bill. You're all covering for the whore I came in with. You might as well pay her bill, too. I turned on my heel and walked out of the club. As I walked the block and a half to the hotel, my anger subsided a little. It was replaced by the deepest sadness I'd ever known. Linda and I were supposed to do this walk together, holding hands, discussing with our friends what they were going to do when they got to their rooms, and they in turn would discuss us. She was supposed to hold my hand like she used to, and press her face into the sleeve of my coat when the conversation got too explicit. Instead, I was alone. Alone, I rode the elevator, trying not to remember what Linda and I had done in the elevators of other hotels. Alone, I entered the room that was to be our suite. Alone, I faced the wreckage of our special night. Alone, I looked into the future, not knowing what might happen. I turned on the light and closed the door behind me. Suddenly, I felt unusually tired. I threw my winter coat on the floor and slouched toward the bedroom. There was a Godiva candy bar on each pillow. In the middle of the bed was underwear I'd never seen before. In my mind's eye, I could see her putting them on, with that combination of love and sensuality in her eyes that belonged only to her and was only mine until tonight. My wife, my lover, my best friend was taken from me by another man. He snatched her from me easily and casually, as if he had every right to do so. He didn't care what she meant to me. He just saw her as a beautiful plaything for the night. And she just let him. I didn't matter enough to her to cause the slightest resistance. It was as if she, too, thought he had a right to her that was more weighty than the one I had earned through nearly a decade of living as a faithful, loving husband. Yes, it was to be just one night. And the next morning, I figured. And what? What would he and that night leave in her heart, mind, and feelings? What could I do that could compare to the hero of the town, the handsome stud Marc Goat Lavalier, let alone rival him? I stopped crying to wash my face and then gathered our things. I threw the underwear in the trash. They didn't mean anything to me anymore. I went downstairs and checked us out of the hotel. I didn't care how Linda came back. The desk clerk looked puzzled as I went through the checkout procedure. Is everything all right with your room, sir? She asked. The room was beautiful, I said. Is there anything we can do for you to make your stay here more comfortable? She replied. Yes, I thought. Make asshole disappear into a black hole, never to be seen again. Turn back time and get my wife back. I just shook my head. No, not really, but thanks for asking anyway, I said quietly. We just had a sudden change of plans. The clerk looked at me sympathetically, as if she'd read my mind. Have a nice evening, sir, she said before I left. Yeah, that's right. Have a nice evening. I got into my car and somehow managed to make it home safely. Everything was churning inside of me, emotions fighting for control. Part of me was angrier than I had ever been in my life. The other part was sad about the loss of my wife and my family. I walked into the starter house where we lived and noticed how quiet and empty it had become. I took my luggage into the bedroom and sat down, trying to make sense of what had happened. I looked at my phone, hoping to see a text message or something from Linda. I hoped she had come to her senses and changed her mind, but that didn't happen. I laid down on the bed, still in my clothes, and dozed off for a while. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning when I was awakened by the buzzer of my phone. Looking at it, I saw that I had received several text messages from an unfamiliar number. Could it be Linda? I pulled my phone out of my pocket and what I saw made me wince. There was a series of photos and short videos of them having fun. I wondered for a moment how he'd gotten my number, then decided that he must have gotten into Linda's phone while she was in the bathroom and then sent the pictures and video to me. I slammed my phone shut and then an idea hit me. Oh yeah, divorce was no big deal at this point. I was done with Linda now and forever. But the asshole would pay. I swore he would pay for ruining my happy life and my family. I went to my computer and copied the images and videos onto it. Then I wrote a letter to all of our so-called friends, the ones who let her do it, and covered for her when she went off with asshole. I attached the videos and pictures and sent the email with the subject line, "Happy now?" For the next few hours, I worked tirelessly moving all of her clothes and belongings into trash bags and stuffing them into the car. By the time I was done, she barely had enough room to sit and drive. I drove her car out of the garage, changed the code so she couldn't get back in, and took the garage door opener out of her car. I wasn't finished yet and turned to everything that reminded me of our marriage. The portrait hanging over the fireplace, our wedding album, Her wedding dress, the bride and groom's glasses on the mantel, the crystal vase at the opposite end of the fireplace. The things she loved, everything. By the time I was done, the house resembled a war zone. Shards of portraits, stuff, shards of glass and silk were scattered everywhere. At one point, I felt like taking a shit, and then another thought came to me. I took off my wedding ring and threw it down the toilet along with my urine and feces. I almost flushed it right then, but another thought came into my head and I decided to wait. I was mentally exhausted, body running on adrenaline as I sat down to get a cup of coffee. I heard something hit the door and realized it was the morning paper. I hadn't realized I'd been doing it for so long. I opened the door and picked up the paper and sat down at the kitchen table again. The next shock I got was when I opened the paper and saw a teaser about the butt. I turned to the sports section and there were giant headlines. Who is Mark Lavaliere's new girlfriend? What? Under the caption was a series of color photos of Asshole and Linda leaving the club. The only thing I could assume was that some paparazzi had spotted them and snapped a picture of them leaving the club. Linda clutched at his arm, as she usually did with me, and looked at him with adoration, just as she had once looked at me. One of the photos showed them kissing before she nonchalantly climbed into his Jaguar. My humiliation was complete. Now the whole damn town knows about it. I read the article, but it was full of generalizations and speculation. Apparently no one had talked to any of them yet. I went to the newspaper's website, where I found an online version that had not only pictures, but video as well. I copied the link to the article and sent it to our supposed friends with the subject line, "Screw you all to hell." I looked at the clock and saw that it was 5:30 in the morning. I knew Linda's mother was already up and making breakfast for her husband since he was an early riser, so I called. "Hi," she said in response. "Everything okay?" "No, it's not, Mom," I said. "We got along well, and I always called them Mom and Dad." "What's wrong, dear?" she asked. "Is it the children?" "No," I said. "Have you seen this morning's paper?" "Not yet," she said. "Alfred likes to watch her over coffee." "Why?" "He might want to avoid the sports section," I said. "There's an article on Mark Lavaliere that he might not like." "Alfred thinks only good things about him," says Linda's mother. "Maybe not when he sees this," I said. "Linda left me at the club we went to with him last night, and they were spotted by the paparazzi getting into his car." "Oh my God," she said. "Where's Linda now?" "She's still with that asshole," I said. "What, she stayed the night with him?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "There's a few other things, but that's pretty much the way it was. I don't know when or if she'll come back, but I can't keep her here. If she ever comes back, I'll kick her out and she'll need somewhere to stay." "All right," she said. "Alfred won't be happy about it." "I'm not thrilled about it either." "Is there any way to overcome this?" "No, Mom, she didn't," I said. "She deliberately turned her back on me and went off with him. And our so-called friends covered for her." "I'm so sorry, Jim," she said. "We raised her better than that. Of course, she can stay here if she needs to." "But what about the children?" "They're at the babysitter's for the night," I said. "I may have to ask my in-laws to watch them for the rest of the weekend." "Okay," she said. "Let me know if there's anything I can do to help, Jim." "Thanks, Mom, I appreciate it," I said. I had another idea, so I went back to the computer. I grabbed the link to the asshole article and opened Linda's Facebook page. We had no secrets from each other up to this point, so I was able to log in as her. I posted the link on her page with the caption, "Guess what? I made it to the front page of the sports section. Went on a date with her lame husband and ended up spending the night with a real student. Lucky me. I figured it would get some tongues wagging, but I wasn't done. I found the email address of the reporter who wrote the article. I figured I had already been humiliated in front of the world, so I threw caution to the wind. I sent the reporter a short email that briefly explained what had happened, and then included a video of Asshole telling me he was going to entertain Linda again. I left contact info so the reporter could call me back. I sent the email and burst out into an evil laugh worthy of Snidely Whiplash. At 8 o'clock, I called Mrs. Porter and asked if it was okay if my parents picked up the kids that morning. She assured me that it was, and asked if I had seen the sports section of the newspaper. "Yes," I said. "Was that really Linda?" she asked me. "Unfortunately, yes," I said. "That's why I'm going to ask the parents to take the kids. I don't want them here when she comes back." "Is she still with him?" she asked, shocked. "Yes," I said. "And I'd appreciate it if you didn't say anything about it to the kids yet." "I understand," she said. "I'm sorry, Jim, you don't deserve it." "Thank you," I said and ended the call. The next call was to my mom. "Jim, is everything okay?" she asked, picking up the phone. "Your father just read the paper, and he should be tying his tie right now." "Is it really Linda?" "Yes, that's right, Mom," I said. "She's still not home. Could you pick up the kids from Mrs. Porter's house this morning? I think they should stay with you for the rest of the weekend." "It's not going to be pretty here." "Of course, son," she said. "I understand all that." "What are you going to do?" "Unleash hell, Mom," I said. "Listen, son, whatever you do, think of the kids first, okay? They're the most important thing in your life right now," she said. I know, Mom, I said. But thanks for reminding me anyway. And thanks for picking them up and letting me stay with you. We finished talking and I grabbed a cup of coffee. I felt like smoking a cigarette, but I fought the urge and kept walking. Around 9:30, my cell phone rang. I saw that it was Dee and answered it. What? Bellowed I. Jim, it's just me, Dee, she said. I know it's you, I said. What the hell do you want? Jim, I saw this morning's paper and I wanted to apologize. I had no idea it would be this bad, she said. What the hell did you think was going to happen? I asked. My wife left with a star soccer player, a known hero in the community after a night of dancing. Of course you knew someone would be following him. And by the way, it's much worse than that, I added. What do you mean? She asked. You'll have to wait and see. By the way, have you looked at Linda's Facebook page? I asked. No, I haven't, she said. Why? Take a look, I said. Have you looked at your email? Not yet, she said. I always like to have my morning coffee first. Well, the answers to your questions are right here, I said. I hope you're happy as hell. I ended the conversation before she could say anything else, but I assumed she'd call back. After that, I got a few more calls. One was from Jane, who really didn't like the video and photos sent by Zazranets. Why are you so surprised? I asked. I never thought he would actually do something like this, she said. What do you mean, entertaining my wife or sending pictures and videos? I asked. Some pillar of society, don't you think? Jim, what are you going to do? She asked. What do you think? Asked I. You should all be very happy. Now say goodbye. And bugger off. I ended the conversation and sat down to drink my coffee, but then the phone rang again. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered it anyway. Mr. Thomas Carlyle? A woman's voice asked. That's him, I said. Mr. Carlyle, this is Audrey Tanis from the Daily Record. I received an email and video from you. Is your wife the same woman seen with Marc Lavaliere last night? She asked. Yes, that's the one your photographer captured with Zosrans last night, I said. Who? She asked. Sorry, that's just what I call him, I said. I see, she said. And you say the woman he is with is your wife? She asked. My soon-to-be ex-wife, I said. So you're getting divorced over this? She asked. Absolutely, I said. You said there were other videos and some pictures in your letter? She asked. Yeah, I said. Would you like to see it? I would, she said. If we use either one of them, we'll weed out all the bad stuff. Can we get together sometime and discuss this? If we can, I'd like to know your story. What the hell, I thought. Sure, I said. But I'd like to wait until she gets home first. She's not back yet? Asked Audrey. No, it isn't, I said. Okay, look, why don't you give me a call when you can meet with me and we can talk things over, she said. Sure, I said. We ended the conversation and I put my phone back in my pocket. Curious, I went to her Facebook page and saw several comments on the post I had posted earlier. It was about 50/50ths, with half of the commenters calling her a happy woman and asking what it was like to be with asshole. The other half were judging her for dumping me the way she did. Several of her male friends on Facebook called her a slut and said they would kick her ass if their wives did what she did. I couldn't help but notice that she had lost a few Facebook friends because of this and chuckled to myself. When Linda walked in the door, it was close to 11 o'clock. I looked up from my desk and saw a Jaguar pulling away from the house. Jim, it's me, she said, pulling the key out of the lock. I'm home, she announced, as if spending the night with her lover was a regular occurrence for her. By the way, why is my car parked in the driveway and not in the garage? And what are those things in it? Her eyes widened when she saw me at the table. I knew I looked terrible. Her face turned white as she looked around the house. It was an absolute disaster. Oh my God, she exclaimed. What have you done? Everything has been destroyed. Our wedding portrait, my vase, our glasses. And what is that smell? I just finished what you started last night, I said. Did you get any sleep last night? She asked. I shrugged. Why do you care? I asked her. Look, I'm really sorry about last night, she said. But I'm here now. And I'm still your wife. I shook my head. She walked over to me and tried to kiss my cheek, but I stopped her. Don't touch me, I said. She looked startled, as if I'd slapped her. And no, you're not my wife. Not anymore. At least that's what it says in the paper. And on the internet, too. I guess that's to be expected, given asshole's status. I opened the paper so she could see the spread with all the color photos. Oh no, she said, shocked. How did they get those pictures? I'm not his girlfriend. I don't care what the papers say. What difference does it make? Asked I. You had yours and now we're done. I need to go to the bathroom and then we should sit down and talk, she said. I followed her into the main bathroom and watched as she recoiled from the mess still in the toilet bowl. Is that your restroom ring? She asked, eyes wide. I nodded my head. Yeah, I said. I figured since you trashed our marriage, I should make it official. I took her left hand and scrutinized the rings. What are you doing? She asked. What's that? I asked, pointing to a dried stain on her wedding ring. It looks like... I don't know what you're talking about, she said. Bullshit, bitch, I said, pulling my phone out of my pocket. I went into the text messages asshole had sent me and pulled up a video of him smearing it all over her rings. Her face lost color when I played her that video. Not only did you disrespect me in public with our so-called friends, you humiliated me in front of the whole town and the whole damn world. And then you did it to the symbols of our love, I said, getting angrier by the second. I shook my head, picked up the napkin, and pulled the rings off her. What are you doing? She asked. She shrieked as I threw the rings into the toilet bowl. I then flushed the toilet and watched the rings go down the drain. She screamed, her eyes widened, and her mouth was open as wide as I had never seen it before. My rings! She screamed, tears rolling down her cheeks. You flushed them down the toilet. How could you? You have to give them back. No, bitch, I said. How could you? I've loved you exclusively for over a decade, and this is the thanks I get? Screw you! But it was just one night, she said. We have the rest of our lives ahead of us. I pulled out my phone and turned on the video where asshole said he'd continue to entertain Linda, maybe even while I watched. Was he telling the truth? I asked. Do you really want to do this? To do it in our bed while I watch? It may have come up, but I didn't think he was being serious, she said. Besides, it was just pillow talk. You mean like this? I asked, showing her the video. She shook her head. That's not what I meant, she said. Well, I'm serious, bitch, I said. Get out of here. And let your lover know that if he takes one step inside this house, I will kill him where he stands, I said. Now get the hell out before I throw you out. But I live here too, she said. I shook my head. Not anymore, I said. I'm going to a lawyer on Monday to get a divorce. You don't live here anymore. Your junk is in the car, and your mother is waiting for you. From now on, you're dead to me. You understand? I don't want to see your face again as long as I live. Now get out. Get out! What about the children? She exclaimed. What about them? I asked. You didn't care about them or me when you left to be with asshole. That's not true. And please stop calling him that, she said. Screw you, I said. Oh, wait, he already did. Any man who can just walk up and take a woman without a second thought is just an asshole in my opinion. He knew you were married, and you're not the first person he's done that to. You didn't even look at him when he took you, and now you're defending him against me. You got what you wanted. Now get out, bitch. Just get out of my sight. You make me sick. She jerked back, hot tears streaming down her face. Get the hell out. She jumped up when I yelled and ran down the stairs, wailing and crying. I followed her downstairs and grabbed her purse before she reached it. I pulled out her keys, removed her house key, put the keys back, and tossed her purse to her. Please don't do this, she wailed in the front room. I'll make it up to you. Just don't leave me like this. I'm begging you. I never meant to hurt you. I love you. I'd never seen so much anguish on a woman's face before, but at that moment, I just didn't care about her feelings. I pointed to the door. That's too bad, because now I hate you to the core. Now for the last time, get out, I said. Shivering and crying, she turned and walked out of the house. I watched her get into her car and drive away, wiping the tears from her face. Finished with the confrontation, I collapsed on the couch, completely exhausted, and fell asleep instantly. After waking up in the afternoon, I was able to go upstairs and take a hot shower. So much had happened in the last 24 hours. In that short period of time, I had gone from a happily married man with 2 wonderful children to... What exactly? I got dressed and looked at the time. I decided to call Audrey. It surprised me that she answered on the first ring. Audrey, this is Jim Carlisle, I said. Good afternoon, Mr. Carlisle, she said. You speak a little better. Well, I got some sleep, so I feel more rested. Is it too late to meet you this afternoon? I asked. Not at all, she said. A reporter's job never ends, you know. I grinned. Listen, it's getting close to dinner time. Would you mind meeting me somewhere? Maybe someplace quiet where we can talk? Not at all, I said. What seems good to you? Well, there's a new restaurant by the mall called Sherry's. Would that work? I've been there and it's pretty quiet. We can talk without interference, she said. Yeah, I know the place, I said. I'll meet you there. We finished talking, and I made another call, to my mother. I wanted to talk to the kids to make sure they were okay. They were busy watching Frozen, again, but interrupted the movie to talk. Where's Mom? Asked Emma. She's staying with her mother for now, I said. Why doesn't she stay home with you? She asked. We're working out some issues, I said. That's okay? I'm sure you'll see her soon. Listen, I need to meet someone, but I'll call you later, okay? Okay, Daddy, she said. Bye. My heart was breaking. Linda and asshole had not only ruined my marriage, they had ruined my children's lives, and for that I would never forgive them. Sighing, I left the house and drove to Sherry's. When I got there, I was escorted to a table in the corner where a young pretty brunette was sitting with an open laptop. She looked up as I approached, stood up, and introduced herself. We each placed our order, and the waitress stepped away from the table. Mr. Carlyle, she said. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Tannis, I said. Please call me Jim. Thank you, she said. And please call me Audrey. I want to start by apologizing to you. Apologizing? I asked. For what? Well, those are my pictures in the morning paper, she said. Did you take them? I asked. She nodded her head. I was at a club last night with my girlfriends, she said. Girls' night out. We were just blowing off steam, and I happened to notice Marc Lavaliere. I saw him walk over to your table and go back to the dance floor with that woman. From the way they were acting, it didn't occur to me that she might be married. When they left the club, I followed them outside and took some pictures and video. The pictures you saw in the paper don't compare to what I captured. Oh my God, I said. I have the whole tape and I can give you a copy if you want, she said. I filmed it with my camera, so it's okay. Would you like to see it? Why not, I said. She handed me the tablet and turned on the video. I saw Linda and Asshole walk into the parking lot, their hands intertwined like Linda and I usually did. When they got to his car, he turned her around to him and they started kissing. Looking at it, no one could have guessed that she was married to someone else. When the video ended, I gave her the tablet back. Like I said, I'm really sorry about what happened, she said. I quickly gathered up a few things and sent them to the paper, and then I went back to the house. When I got there, you were gone. So you want to tell me your side of the whole thing? I nodded my head and recalled the evening from my point of view. Then I pulled out my phone and held it out to her, along with a pair of headphones. You should take a look at them, I told her. The video is pretty graphic. I'm a big girl now, she said, putting headphones in her ears. While she was doing this, food was brought to us. As I ate, I watched her reaction. At first, she didn't react in any way, but as the video went on, her face changed. When she finished, she handed me back my phone. Well, I asked. It confirms some of the things I've heard, she said. Mostly it's just locker room talk, bragging and stuff like that. But there's been rumors on social media for a long time that he's a bit of a player. I've never been able to prove any of that. Good old boy network and all that. They seem to have each other's backs, if you know what I mean. I can imagine, I said. So what are you going to do? She asked. I'm going to get a divorce, I said. She knew about my views on fidelity when she did it, but she obviously didn't care. She got hers, and now it's over between us. Any kids? She asked. 2, a boy and a girl, I said. 6 and 4 years old. She shook her head. It's always hardest on the kids, she says. Yes, it is, I told her. What about him? Mark? She asked. I shrugged. I don't know yet, I said. I'm still thinking about it. Part of me wants to beat his ass into the pavement, but I don't want to go to jail. He's a star soccer player, she said. No offense, but I don't think you'd get very far if you tried. I chuckled. What's so funny? She asked. Let's just say this isn't the first time someone's underestimated me, I said. Size isn't everything, you know. What does that mean? She asked. My dad used to tell me that it's not the size of the dog in the fight that matters. It's the size of the dog in the fight that matters, I said. She nodded her head. I see, she said. So you want to cause trouble? No, I said. I have 2 kids to think about, but I'm not going to just pick up and play dead. Have you talked to a lawyer yet? She asked. I didn't have time, and besides, this all just happened last night, I said. She pulled a card out of her purse and held it out to me. A good friend of mine is a family law attorney, she said. She hates crooks passionately and isn't too fond of Lavaliere. I'll call her and give her a heads up if you want. I looked at the card. Lisa Hawkins, attorney at law, the inscription read. Sure, thanks, I said. I don't mean to show a gift horse in your mouth, but I have to ask, why are you helping me so much? It's a fair question, she said. Being a reporter, I can smell a good story. I'd like to be the one to tell yours if you don't mind. Besides, I like it when guys like Lavaliere get what they deserve. So it's something personal to you? I asked. A little, she said. So what do you want from me? I asked. An exclusive? Something like that, she said. What exactly does that mean? I asked her. It means you're letting me tell my side of the story, letting us control the flow of information, she said. We? I asked. Yes, she said. Lisa and I. And what do I get out of it? I asked her. For starters, a defense against people like me who would want to know your story, she said. I know how people like Lavaliere work. This story is blowing up in my face. I'm sure he and his people are already working on turning it around so that you end up looking bad. That's what they're doing. Trust me, if you go half-court, they will chew you up and spit you out so fast before you know it. And don't expect the national sports media to give you a break. Trust me, they're just as vicious as anyone else in the news business. You're going to need someone who knows how to deal with sharks, and they'll come after you as soon as they spot it. So what do we do? I asked. Have you thought about making a case against Lavaliere? She asked. Yes, I've thought about that, I said. I've thought about a lot of other things, too. All right, she said. Let me take a little time and see what they're going to do. I'd like to publish a short note in tomorrow's paper that you're considering legal action for the destruction of your marriage and your family. Would that be okay with you? I pondered her question for a moment before answering. I knew she was right, and I also knew that it wouldn't be long before Linda's identity would become public. Perhaps it would be best if I was out in the open before they had a chance to humiliate me further. Okay, I said, but we'll work on it together. And I'll have veto power if I think it will hurt the kids. Agreed, she said. I'll make some calls and we'll get into action. By the way, you should know that the local news stations will be covering this tonight. I've already been contacted by several of them. What did you tell them? I asked. I haven't said anything yet, she said. I wanted to talk to you first. I appreciate that, I said. We finished our meal and said goodbye. I hoped I was doing the right thing. Looking at the time, I decided to go over to the kids' house and talk to the parents about the whole mess. Checking my phone, I saw that there were no calls or messages from Linda. I got to my parents' house and went inside. My children ran up to me and I hugged them tightly and kissed them. Where's Mom? Emma asked. She's with her parents, I said. Why? Asked Emma. She has some things to take care of, I said, not wanting to give away too much and too soon. My folks came into the room and we cuddled for a bit before sitting down. Are you okay, son? My father asked. I shook my head. Not really, Dad, I said. I'm better than I was, but it's still hard. I understand, he said. Just then the news came on the television. My father is a news buff, so he turned on the TV and we sat and watched the reports, despite the objections of the two children who thought it was boring. However, a few minutes after the program started, something happened that caught our attention. And now on to our Talk of the Town segment, the male anchor said. The Daily Record reported this morning that star soccer player Mark Lavaliere was spotted leaving a local nightclub with a new girlfriend. A video published by the newspaper shows them leaving the club and getting into his car. The scene switched to a short video that had been posted online earlier that day. Linda and Asshole were clearly seen walking hand in hand, and she was easily recognizable as she turned around to kiss him. Daddy, why is Mommy kissing that man? Asked Emma, shocked. Is he her boyfriend? Just watch the news, Emma, I told her. Timmy didn't understand everything his sister was saying, but it was clear he wasn't happy. The anchor continued. We spoke with Audrey Tanis, the reporter who broke the story, and she told us that the woman, who happens to be married, has been identified. Tanis said her husband did not authorize the release of her name. We reached out to Lavaliere and Sharks Management but received no comment. According to Tanis, more information will be forthcoming, possibly as early as tomorrow, he said. Dad turned off the TV and Mom hurried into the bedroom where the kids were sleeping. Come on, kids, she said, ushering them into the other room. Dad turned to me. What are you going to do, son? He asked. I'm getting a divorce, Dad, I said. He nodded his head. I don't blame you, he said. You know it probably means she gets the kids and you lose everything financially. Maybe, I said. But there's no way I could live with her. Not after this. By the way, I talked to the reporter who broke the story. Yay? He asked. Yes, I said. She offered to tell me everything and help me out. The next few days aren't going to be much fun. This is just the beginning. When this all hits the media, it's going to be a circus. By this time, my mom had returned and sat down next to us. The kids can stay here for a while if they need to, she said. At least this way they won't be bothered by a bunch of nosy reporters. Your mom's right, son, Dad said. They can stay here as long as they need to. I thought for a moment before I answered. You're right, I said. Thank you. I'll get some more of their stuff tomorrow. If you need anything else, let me know. Linda will want to see them, Mom said. Technically, we can't stop her, not without a restraining order. I know, I said. God, it's so messed up. Why did she do it? Surely she must have known it wouldn't end well. It's hard to say, son, my father said. You do what you have to do. We'll help in any way we can. Just don't do anything stupid. Thanks, Dad, I said. We hugged and I went to the kids. Little Emma came up to me with tears in her eyes. Are you going to get a divorce? She asked. I couldn't lie to her and pretend everything was going to be okay. I guess so, honey, I said. But remember, no matter what happens, we all love you very, very much. I hugged her and she cried on my shoulder. Damn you, Linda, I thought. Damn you, bastard. After spending some time with the kids, I went back to the front room. I have to go, I said. I need to clean the house a little. My mom came out with a dish of lasagna. Take this with you, she said. You need to keep your strength up. Thanks, Mom, I said, taking the dish. I love lasagna, and Mom's lasagna was the best lasagna I had ever eaten. We said our goodbyes and I headed home. When I got home, I put the lasagna in the fridge, then checked Linda's Facebook page and saw that the post was still hanging. By this point, it had been viewed by over 500,000 people and several comments had been left. Most of them were negative, with the kindest ones calling her a whore. I also noticed that she had lost almost 3/4 of her friends. I smiled to myself and shut down the computer. I had cleaned up after the night's rampage and was getting ready to heat up the lasagna my mom had given me when I heard the doorbell ring. Shit, I thought. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. It was Dee and Dave. What the hell did they want? I opened the door slightly. What the hell do you want? Growled I. They both jumped back in shock. Can we talk, Jim? Asked Dee. Please? Why? I asked. Because we're friends and we're worried about you, she said. I snorted. Friends? I asked. With friends like you, who the hell needs enemies? Please, Jim, can we come in and talk for just a minute? Pleaded Dee. I thought for a moment, then decided to let them come in. They looked around, shocked. All of Linda's things were gone, but what was left of the destroyed wedding portrait still hung over the fireplace. So, what do you want? I asked, pouring myself a cup of coffee. I didn't offer them anything, and I could tell they noticed that. However, they didn't say anything. Jim, first of all, we want to apologize for last night, Dee said. I saw the video you emailed us and read the report. We didn't know it was going to be that bad, and we just wanted to apologize. You didn't know, did you? I asked mockingly. But you knew she was married last night when you practically pushed her into his bed, didn't you? Yes, it is, Dee said. What's more, Linda knew she was married when she left with him, I added. The simple truth is that neither of you cared. Not even Linda. You all knew she was married, but none of you even thought enough of me to try and stop her. You couldn't put it between her legs fast enough. You couldn't? They looked at each other in shame. All that shit about one and done doesn't mean shit, right? I asked. Probably not, Dee stammered. You know, Linda's really upset right now. We're really worried about her. All she does is lay on her mom's bed and cry. I'm afraid she's about to have a nervous breakdown. I walked over to the bookcase and pulled a thick dictionary from the shelf. I tossed it onto the coffee table. The noise it made as it fell made them both jump. You want sympathy? I asked. I nodded my head toward the dictionary. Look between shit and syphilis and you'll find it there. You won't get it from me, and neither will she. They looked at me, shocked. My God, that really destroyed you, didn't it? Asked Dave. You don't understand shit, I said. I'm just about as close to tipping my hat at someone right now, I said, holding my thumb and index finger 1/32nd inch apart. Other than the fact that I don't own a gun, the only reason I haven't is because someone has to think about the kids. God knows neither you nor Linda thought about that last night. So it's true that you flushed your rings down the toilet and told her she was dead to you, Dee said. I nodded my head. Yeah, I said. She messed up our marriage and I just finished what she started. And what are you going to do now? Asked Dave. There should be no doubt about that, I said. Thanks to all of you, I've been humiliated in front of the whole damn world. This article has already gone viral and has racked up at least 1 million views. Anyone who knows Linda can clearly see that it's her. So I have no choice. I have to divorce her nasty ass. I looked at Dee. And you'll be named too, I added. Me? Asked Dee. Why? Because for all practical purposes, you helped her destroy our family, I said. That's the same as being an accessory to a crime. You could have stopped her, but you consciously chose not to, and then you tried to justify what you did to me. By the way, have you told your husband about what you told me yet? Dave looked at her, frowning his eyebrows. What did you say to him? He asked. She looked down at the floor, her face flushed. He looked at me before he spoke. What did she say to you? She told me that if Asshole had approached her instead of Linda, she would have gladly done the same thing Linda did. And was very proud of it, I said. Angry, he turned to her. Is that so? He asked. We'll discuss it when we get home. She looked at me angrily. I asked you not to tell him, she said. I shrugged. That's too bad, I said. I think your husband deserves to know what kind of woman he's married to, don't you? So that's it then? She asked. Quite, I said. They got up to leave, but Dee made one last attempt on Linda's behalf. I understand if you don't want to be friends with us anymore, she said. But can't you find it in your heart to forgive Linda just this once? She really loves you, doesn't she? I shook my head. Are you really that fat, Dee? I asked. No, I can't forgive her. And I never will. She destroyed me with her betrayal. And you helped her. I can never look at you the same way again. She nodded her head and looked depressed. Okay, she said quietly. If anything, I'm sorry. I said nothing, nodding my head. Yeah, I thought she's sorry. Dave held out his hand, then thought for a moment and yanked it away. I'm sorry too, he said. We're all sorry. I guess I'll see you later. I hummed in response, not wanting to say anything to my former friends. I watched them walk away, Dee wiping the tears from her face. I closed the door, locked it, and went into the kitchen to get dinner. After that, I laid down on the bed in exhaustion. I fell fast asleep. The next day I got up, did my morning ritual, and grabbed a newspaper from the porch before making coffee. I looked at the large cast iron skillet Linda had on the stove and considered making scrambled eggs and bacon, but changed my mind. After devouring a bowl of cereal and a slice of toast, I opened the newspaper and turned to the sports section. Cheating husband considering lawsuit against Sharks. Tight end Mark Lavaliere, read the large headline. This has to be good, I thought. Audrey did an excellent job of retelling what I had told her the day before. I noticed that she'd avoided my name, saying I'd spoken to her on condition of anonymity. The man, who identified himself as the woman's husband, also provided a video that clearly shows a relationship between the woman, who he said was his wife, and Lavaliere, the article states. According to the husband, his wife's friends allegedly helped her escape with Lavaliere. Attempts to contact these people have so far been unsuccessful. Like all other players on the team, Lavaliere's contract with the team includes a very strict morals clause. Violation and non-compliance with this clause could result in litigation with the team. We reached out to team management and Lavaliere for comment. We received no response from the team, and Lavaliere simply said, "No comment," the article concluded. Satisfied, I closed the paper and sipped my coffee. My phone buzzed, and I looked up to find a message from Audrey. "Hope you read the paper this morning," the message read. I replied, "Yes, it is." "Great article." "Thanks," I wrote back. I received another message, "YVW, you're welcome." It was followed by another, "Expect a call very soon." TTFN. I thanked her again and put the phone back in my pocket. Sure enough, a few seconds later it buzzed. I looked and saw that I was getting a call from an unfamiliar number. I answered, wondering who it could be. "Jim Carlisle," I said. "Mr. Carlisle, this is Lisa Hawkins," said a friendly female voice. "I got your number from Audrey Tannis and wanted to call you. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time." "There are no good times these days," I said. "But I'm glad you called, Miss Hawkins. What can I do for you?" "Well, more like what I can do for you," she said. "For starters, just call me Lisa." "Okay, Lisa," I said. "And please call me Jim." "Thank you, Jim," she said. "Audrey told me about you last night, and I wanted to contact you after you read her article." "I assume you've read it." "Yes," I said. "And I thought she did a pretty good job." "I thought so too," she said. "Look, Jim, I'd like to represent you if you don't mind. Is it true that you're considering legal action against Lavaliere and the team in addition to divorcing your wife?" "Yes, it is," I said. "Well, you're in luck," she said. "Not only is adultery a permissible ground for divorce in this state, but it's against the law, even though it's not enforced. And suits for alienation of affection are also allowed in this state. I think you have a very strong case. I understand you have children?" "Yes," I said. "Two, a boy and a girl." "Will you seek custody?" she asked. "Absolutely," I said. "It might be a little complicated, but we can certainly ask for it," she said. "Look, I'd like to start putting the case together today. I'd like you to bring everything you can regarding your finances and any evidence you have of their affair. Can you meet me in my office tomorrow morning, say 8 o'clock? "Yes," I said. "I can do that. What about the fee? Don't you need an advance or something?" "Usually, yes," she said. "But in any case, I'm willing to do it pro bono, for free, for you." "Thank you, but why would you want to do that?" I asked. "I'll tell you someday, just not now over the phone," she said. "Okay," I said. "One last thing, Jim," she said. "What's that?" I asked. "After this morning's article, you'll probably hear from the Sharks legal team," she said. "Don't give in to them." "Absolutely not. Just tell them they can expect a call from your lawyer." "Can you do that?" "Of course," I said. "All right," she said. "And don't do anything stupid." I chuckled. "I won't, I promise," I told her. We said goodbye and ended the conversation. Looking at the time, I decided to go to the kids. I went back upstairs and put on a clean pair of jeans and a shirt. When I got back, someone was banging on the door. I looked through the peephole and saw two well-dressed men in dark suits. Probably from the Sharks, I thought, remembering Lisa's warning. I opened the door. "Yes, what can I do for you?" I asked calmly. "Mr. Carlisle's," said one of the men. "My name is Roger Billings, and this is Jack Dunstan. We're from the Sharks. Can we come inside and talk for a few minutes?" Suddenly, I recognized Dunstan from pictures I'd seen in newspapers and on TV. He was the owner of the Sharks. I figured Roger was probably a lawyer. I opened the door and invited them inside. "Please come in," I said. "May I offer you something to drink?" "No, but thanks anyway," Jack said. "We won't take up much of your time. We're only here to discuss your problem with Mark Lavaliere." "Graduation?" I asked. "You mean he ruined my marriage and my family? Is that the issue you're talking about?" "Well, yeah," Jack said, clearly confused by my words. He turned to Roger. "Show him the proposal, and let's get this over with, please." Roger opened his briefcase and pulled out an envelope and a folder. He handed me the envelope and indicated that I should open it. I opened it, and as I looked inside, I was shocked. I could feel my face turning red as I looked at the two men. "Is everything all right, Mr. Carlisle?" asked Jack. "You've got to be kidding me," I said. "Is there a problem, Mr. Carlisle?" asked Roger. "Everything seems to be in order." $1,000? I asked. "You're offering me $1,000 for what that asshole did to me and my family? That's not an offer, that's a goddamn insult." Wait a minute, Mr. Carlyle, Jack said. That doesn't include lifetime season passes and anything else you want from our gift store. That costs a lot of money. I almost laughed out loud. And this is in exchange for what? I asked. Roger opened the folder and showed me the unsigned document. According to this document, we ask that you not file a lawsuit against the team or Mr. Lavalier, he said. I looked at the document and couldn't believe what I read. And you won't do anything to Lavalier? I asked. What about the morals clause in his contract? Roger shrugged. Listen, Mr. Carlyle, Jack said. Boys will be boys. Mr. Lavalier is a respected member of the team with a very high standing in the community. All we're asking you to do is reconsider the decision to prosecute. We don't want anyone's reputation tarnished. Surely you can understand that. As far as I'm concerned, Lavalier ruined my marriage, I said. And he's already ruined my reputation. Articles and pictures of him with my wife have already circulated. What about my 2 children? How are you going to make up for the loss of their mother and family? Do you think season tickets and flashy clothes will make up for it? What do you want us to do? Asked Jack condescendingly. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you can entertain my wife or turn back the clock to Thursday and keep asshole from meeting her for the first time, I said wryly. Better yet, why don't you kick some balls around the soccer field a few times? Live on the air. Hell, I'd even pay to watch that. Both men looked at me, shocked. We can't do any of that, Mr. Carlyle, said Roger. Perhaps you'd like to make a counteroffer? You will listen to my attorney. This meeting is over. Please leave. They looked at each other, then stood up. Jack held out his hand to shake mine, but I didn't take it. They nodded their heads and walked out the door. After they left, I called Lisa to let her know what had happened, then called my parents and went over to their house to spend some time with the kids. Emma was still shocked to see Linda kissing another man. I talked to the parents for a while and decided to take the kids to Chuck E. Cheese's and then pick up their stuff. We had a good time, and for a couple hours they were kids again, laughing and playing. Unfortunately, all good things come to an end sometime, and this occasion was no exception. They grumbled a bit but joined me as we walked to the car. We went to their rooms and packed up their things to take them to their grandparents' house and then went back downstairs. The next thing I knew, the front door swung open. I saw that the door jamb was broken, and the next thing I realized was that asshole was standing there in all his rage looking at me. You goddamn bastard, he shouted. I'm going to hurt you for everything you've done. All I wanted was a piece of ass, but you made a big goddamn federal case out of it. I tried to speak but couldn't as his fist caught up to my face and threw me back. After the stars disappeared from my vision, I realized that I needed to find something to defend myself, as I knew it wasn't going to be all about fists alone. I was filled with rage, and I remembered the iron skillet on the stove. He fell to the floor and I dropped the frying pan, but my rage didn't subside. Drop the frying pan, sir, the man said. I let go of the cast iron skillet and turned around, hearing it hit the floor. Stay where you are, hands behind your head. I obeyed the policeman's order and put my hands behind my head. He put my hands behind my back and handcuffed me. After making sure I was no longer a threat, he lifted me to my feet. Officer, he broke into my house, I said. I know, he said. Your neighbor across the street saw him kicking in the door and called 911. I got here as fast as I could. Are you okay? Damn, was I really that fast? I asked myself. My face hurts like hell, I said. He looked at me and nodded his head. Yeah, you're going to have a bruise, that's for sure, he said. He walked over to Emma and examined her. Thankfully, physically she was fine, but she was shaken and scared. He called on the radio and came back to me. Officer, can I call the parents to come get the kids? I asked. He looked away for a moment before answering. Do you have a gun? He asked. I shook my head. No, officer, that's why I grabbed the frying pan, I said. Okay, he said, releasing me from the handcuffs. But I'm going to have to take your statement. Thank you, I said. Am I going to be arrested? I don't think so, he said. I think he broke into your house, attacked you and your daughter. You were just protecting your children. Unless they tell me otherwise, no, I'm not going to arrest you. I will arrest him, though. I grabbed my phone, which had fallen out of my pocket when asshole hit me. I called my parents, and my dad said he'd be right over. By then, an ambulance pulled up in front of our house, and the paramedics went inside. They examined Emma to make sure she was okay, then examined me before turning their attention to asshole, who was lying unconscious on the floor. As they wheeled him out on a gurney, my dad made his way home. What the hell happened? He asked, walking into the house. We had an unwanted guest, I said. He watched my face for a second. Damn, boy, this is going to be a mess for a long time, he said. He looked at Emma, who was crying on the couch. He took her in his arms and hugged her. It's okay, honey, the bad man is gone. He looked around for a moment. Where's Timmy? Timmy was hiding under the table, barely visible because of the long tablecloth. We saw him peeking out from under the table. It's all right, son, I said. You can come out now. He crawled out from under the table and came toward us. My father looked at the policeman. Can we leave? He asked. The policeman nodded his head. Yes, that's all right, he said. I'll need to have a little talk with your son, but you don't have to be here. Thank you, he said. He gathered up the kids and their things, then turned back to me. Come back when they're done, okay? I will, Daddy, thank you, I said. I hugged the kids and kissed them goodbye, telling them I'd be there soon. After they left, the policeman and I sat on the couch while he wrote down my statement. I couldn't believe it had all happened so quickly. Good thing your neighbor across the street called in time, the cop said. I was only a couple blocks away when I got the call. I've been following this Lavalier story. Was that your wife he was seen with? I nodded my head. Yes, I said. I'm sorry to hear that, he said. Feel free to call if you need someone to talk to, he added, handing me a card with the counselor's name and number on it. Thank you, officer, I appreciate it, I said. He left after shaking my hand, and I was left standing in the front room looking at the remains of my front door. Fred, the neighbor who had called the police, came over and examined the door as well. Are you all right, Jim? He asked. I do now, I said. I appreciate you calling the police. No problem. I saw him kick in the door and happened to be out front with a lawnmower. What did you do with this guy? Cleaned my watch with a frying pan, if you can believe it, I said. He laughed. Remind me never to piss you off, he said. Just curious, why did he kick in your door? It wasn't locked or anything, was it? No, it wasn't, I said. And the security screen wasn't even locked. All he had to do was turn the doorknob. Apparently he was too angry to try. Well, I think we can still close the door, but the jam's completely disintegrated, he said. I guess we'll have to screw it down until you can replace it. I'll get a drill and screws and help you if you want. That would be great, Fred, I said. Thanks. I'll go get my drill. With Fred's help, we managed to close the door, but I had to bolt it because Asshole had done damage to it when he kicked it with his foot. Luckily, the deadbolt wasn't locked at that point, and I was able to use it. That'll do it, he said. Let me know when you get a replacement, and I'll help you put it in. Thanks again, I said. Just one more thing my wife's cheating managed to ruin, I thought to myself. I quickly made 2 calls, one to Lisa and one to Audrey. Lisa wasn't very happy that I had mopped the floor with Zasrans with a frying pan, but she was glad it was all over, and even happier that I wasn't in jail and the kids were relatively okay. She was, however, amused by the fact that Lavalier was in the hospital and would be arrested. Audrey told me she heard the call on the police scanner and had already talked to the reporter who covers police calls. You know I can't remain anonymous anymore, she said. It's all going to be in the police report. I know, I told her. We talked some more and she told me to stay tuned. Everyone will be talking about it now, she said. After we finished talking, I went upstairs and showered again. When I looked in the mirror, my eye was already black and blue. I decided I needed to make another call and dialed my boss's number. I explained the situation and told him I needed to take a few days to get things straightened out. Shit, she said. You had a hell of a weekend. That's okay. You've got a lot of free time ahead of you, so take a week and figure it out, okay? I will, thanks, boss, I said. We finished talking and I headed off to see my parents and kids. Linda pulled up to their house at the same time I did. I wasn't expecting her to show up, and I didn't know what to expect. I got out of the car just as she did, and we met on the walkway leading to the front door. She was shocked when she saw me. Oh my God, are you okay? She asked. I shook my head. What happened? It's a little late to worry about my well-being, don't you think? I asked sarcastically. You want to know what happened? Your lover happened. He came to the house to pick a fight. Yes, it is, I said. Don't worry, I cleaned his clock with your big frying pan. Did you hurt him? She asked. Please don't tell me you hurt him. I couldn't believe what she was saying. He's been taken to the hospital, I said. I don't know what condition he's in, and frankly, I don't care. All I know is that he'll be in police custody for a while. They're pressing charges against him. By the way, why are you here? I came to see my kids, she said. I miss them, and I haven't seen them since. You mean since the night you left us to be with Asshole? I asked her. Roughly. It's only been, 36 hours? And you're just now thinking about them? Please don't call him that, she said. That man ruined our marriage, Linda, and you helped him without a second thought for me or the children, I said, my anger building. He ruined our family. I'd say that makes him an asshole of the highest order. And you're defending him. I walked into the house and she followed me. When we got inside, everyone looked in our direction. The children huddled close to their grandmother, who was now in character as Mama Grizzly. What do you want? Linda hissed. I want to see my children, Linda said. Timmy looked frightened. He clung even tighter to my mother. Emma looked at my mother, unable to hide her disgust. Why did you kiss that man, Mommy? She asked. What man? Asked Linda. That man, Emma said, pointing to the TV. We looked over and saw Lavalier's face on the screen. This just came into Eyewitness News, read the news anchor. Sharks tight end. Mark Lavalier is reportedly facing multiple charges tonight after he allegedly kicked in the door at the home of a woman he was seen with Friday night. According to police reports, he assaulted the woman's husband. The report says the husband defended the home with a large cast iron skillet. Lavaliere is currently at a county hospital being treated for a serious head wound and other injuries, the anchor reported. The district attorney said charges will be filed, and Lavaliere will be taken into custody when his medical condition improves. Sharks team management just released a statement saying Lavaliere is suspended pending the outcome of the investigation. The scene changed to show Roger and Jack standing behind a microphone. We regret to report that tight end Mark Lavaliere is currently in the hospital being treated for a head wound and other injuries, Jack said. We have read the police report and would like to apologize to the family he allegedly assaulted. For the record, we contacted the husband and made what we believe was a more than reasonable offer. However, he declined it. How do you respond to the pending charges? One reporter asked. As far as we can tell, these charges include terroristic threats, breaking and entering, assault, and battery. We have no comment at this time, Roger said. However, we have suspended Mr. Lavaliere pending the outcome of the investigation. At this point, he is still unconscious, so we have yet to hear his version of what happened. That's all for today. Thank you. The scene moved to the studio. This is breaking news, the anchor said. Stay tuned to Eyewitness News as it becomes available. Everyone turned to Linda as the report ended. Oh my God, she said quietly. Unconscious? What other injuries are they talking about, Jim? What did you do to him? That's right, I said. Show concern for your lover. If you must know, I hit him. Several times. Linda started to approach Emma, but the girl recoiled. My mother spoke up. Haven't you done enough for these children? She asked. With this family? I think it would be wise for you to leave now, Linda, my father said. While you still can. And Linda, my mom said. You will never be welcome in this house again. With tears in her eyes, Linda looked at the children, at my mother, then at my father, and finally at me. There wasn't an ounce of sympathy for her in the room. She turned and headed for the door. It was just one night, she sobbed as she left. After she left, I hugged the children and they cried on my shoulder. Eventually, they quieted down. I kissed them both goodnight, and after saying goodbye, I left. When I got home, I reminded myself to enter through the garage since the front door didn't work. As I entered the house, the phone buzzed. I looked and saw it was calling me from LV, a close family friend who had recently retired after working for many years as an attorney. He was one of the smartest and wisest people I knew, and the best friend to a family like ours. Hi, LV, I said when I answered. Hey, you, the old man said. I saw that report. I've been following the story and I recognized Linda from the pictures in the paper. Are you and the kids okay? Not really, I said. Is it true that you cleaned Lavaliere's watch with a frying pan? He asked. Yes, it's true, I said. He laughed. Good for you, he said. I take it you're divorcing Linda? Yes, I told him. Is there no chance you can negotiate with her? He asked. I'd hate to see you break up. No chance, LV, I said. I told him about the videotapes Lavaliere had sent and what he'd said. Well, that complicates matters somewhat, he said. Have you talked to a lawyer yet? I have an appointment with Lisa Hawkins in the morning, I said. Hawkins, huh? He asked. The Ice Queen herself. The Ice Queen? I asked. Yeah, she's cold as ice in the courtroom, he said. If you need scorched earth, she's your girl. But she's also one of the most expensive family law attorneys in the state. Are you sure you can afford her? She said she'd take my case pro bono, I said. Really? Asked LV. Any idea why? No, not one, I said. Maybe you should ask, he said. I will, I told him. We talked some more about this and that. If I can help you in any way, let me know, he said. Thanks, I told him, ending the conversation. I ate a little dinner, then picked up the things Lisa said she needed to see. I climbed into bed and fell soundly asleep. The next morning after breakfast, I was out the door. Halfway to Lisa's office, my phone rang. I saw that it was a call from Linda's mother, and I answered it, using a Bluetooth headset so I wouldn't get caught talking on the phone while driving. Jim, you have to go to the hospital, she said frantically. Why? I asked. It's Linda, she said. She tried to kill herself last night. Took an overdose of sleeping pills and some alcohol. She's been put down and her stomach pumped, but she's still out of danger. Tried to unhook yourself and screwed up too, huh? I asked coldly. Sorry, I have an emergency right now. Maybe I can swing by her place after the meeting. Jim, she's still your wife and the mother of your children, she said. And she's in the hospital. Don't you have feelings for her at all? Why do you think she's there? I asked. And do you think she even thought about the kids when she left with that asshole? Or about me? I have an appointment with my lawyer. I can swing by her place when I'm done. Please, Jim, she's a total wreck, she said. It's completely destroyed her. She has no one to blame but herself, I said. How can you be so cold? She asked. Linda loves you and the children. I feel the love, I tell you, I said. I'd better be going. I'll look in on you when I'm done. She gave me the room number, and I hung up after saying goodbye. I made my way to the parking lot downtown and then headed towards the building where Lisa's office was located. I was greeted by an attractive young brunette receptionist who directed me to a chair in the waiting area, summoning Lisa. A few minutes later, a petite blonde woman in a pantsuit came out and ushered me inside. Once in the office, she turned and held out her hand to me. "I'm Lisa Hawkins," she said with a smile. "It's nice to finally meet you, Jim." "Likewise," I said, though I wish it had happened under more favorable circumstances. "Me too," she said. "Well, let's get right to the point, shall we?" "Did you bring the information I asked for?" "Yes," I said, pulling out a folder with all of our financial information. I also handed her the USB drive with the videos asshole had sent me. She took a quick look through it all, nodding her head and making notes as she went. "So," she said, finishing, "here's what I think we should do. We'll file a petition citing adultery as grounds for divorce. In this state, adultery can be used as leverage against any form of alimony. Plus, it looks like you both make almost the same amount of money. Usually the state splits everything in half, but in your case, I think we may be able to get a little more. We'll ask for physical custody, but you should know that in most cases the court awards it to the mother unless there's nothing to indicate she's unfit to be a mother." "Well, she tried to kill herself last night," I said. Her eyes sparkled as she smiled. "Very interesting," she said. "I suppose you could make the argument that a person who attempts suicide isn't mentally stable enough to take care of children. And as you said, her lover attacked your family. That reminds me, I need to apply for a restraining order against her and Lavaliere. Even though he's in the hospital and will be charged?" I asked. "Especially since he'll be facing charges," she said. "He's already shown he's willing to break into a house and attack you. I would say that makes him dangerous. And I think the court would agree with that. Just because he's been charged doesn't mean the court won't let him out on bail or on his own recognizance. By the way, do you have a gun?" I shook my head. "No, I don't," I said. "That's why I used a frying pan." She laughed. "Okay," she said. "Remind me never to piss you off, at least not in the kitchen. By the way, where are your kids now?" "They're at my parents' house," I said. "Okay, we'll include them and their house in the restraining order," she said. Then she pulled out another packet of documents. "I've also started working on a lawsuit against Lavaliere and the team," she said. "You should know that usually alienation of affection lawsuits don't go very far. However, I think your case will be helped by the videos he sent you and the allegations stemming from his assault on you, your home, and your daughter. I did a little research and found out that with everything included, he is worth about $125 million. I think $12.5 million would be a reasonable figure considering what he did to you and your family. That doesn't mean you'll get that amount, but it's worth a shot. Since we know he's done this to other people, maybe we'll find out if they'd be willing to come forward. Maybe we can make it a class action suit. What do you say?" "You're a lawyer," I said. "You do what you think is right." "Okay," she said. "It won't be easy, but we can try. I think we can make similar claims against the team, since all players are required to sign a morals agreement. However, it depends on what they do with it after the charges are filed. You have to know it will be an uphill battle." "I've already figured it out," I said. "If anything, I think the divorce itself can be settled pretty quickly," she said. "Adultery is still considered a misdemeanor in this state, even though no one has ever been prosecuted for it. I don't agree with that law, but it's still on the books. But we can use it to our advantage. If she tries to contest the divorce, we can use that as leverage. If she doesn't contest the divorce, it could be finalized in as little as 3 to 6 months. Litigation will take more time and work, but I think we'll end up ahead in the end. Any questions?" "Just one," I said. "What is it?" she asked. "You said you were doing this pro bono," I said. "Why are you doing it? You know you're not the only one Lavaliere has hurt, right?" I nodded my head. "He seduced my fiancée years ago, before he became the star he is now." "Wait, what?" I asked. "I'm sorry to hear that. Is he bisexual or something?" She shook her head. "No, not at all," she said. "But apparently my then fiancé was." I was still confused, and it was obviously reflected on my face. She smiled and explained. "We got engaged after the 2015 Obergefell decision allowed same-sex marriage nationwide. The situation was similar to yours. She fell in love with him at first sight, about the same as your wife. After that, things were never the same between us. I broke off the engagement, and frankly, I wanted to get back at him, but the opportunity never came until you came along. Most of his victims usually hid in shame after becoming cuckolds." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. "Are you two still friends?" "We're friends, but I wouldn't say we're friends," she said. "I've moved on, and so has she." She stopped and gave me a serious look before continuing. "Does my lifestyle bother you?" she asked. I shook my head. "Not at all," I said, making her smile. "Good," she said. "I'm glad to hear you say that. So you and Audrey Tanis are together?" I asked. She laughed and shook her head. "We're good friends, but nothing more than that," she said. "And no, there's nothing between us, but I wouldn't mind spending some time with her." "Why? Have you thought about sleeping with her? She likes you, you know." "I've never known her to take the story personally. That's the last thing on my mind right now," I said. "These days, my kids are the most important thing in my life." "That's the way it should be," she said. They need their father now more than ever. Look, let me get started on all this, and I'll have the divorce papers ready in a day or two. If your wife is still in the hospital, maybe we can file it there. I'd like to attend her funeral if possible, I said. I think we can arrange that, she said. She stood up, signaling that the meeting was over. I'll be in touch. Be careful, okay? I stood up and we shook hands once more. Leaving her office, I headed to the hospital to check on Linda's condition. I parked the car and headed inside. When I entered her room, her mother was talking to the doctor. I looked over and saw that Linda was hooked up to tubes running through her arms into a ventilator. She looked like hell. Oh, it's good you're finally here, her mother said. They've put her on a suicide watch and are going to run tests on her. They're worried she might have brain damage since she's been unconscious for so long. I mean, she almost died. What's wrong? I asked. After she came back from seeing you and the kids, she went upstairs. I heard her crying, so I went to check on her, she said. I held her in my arms for a long time and I thought she was fine, so I gave her a nightcap to calm her down. When I checked on her early in the morning, I saw an open vial of sleeping pills next to her glass, which was empty. Her face was blue and I thought she was already dead. I called 911 and they brought her in. They pumped her stomach and gave her something against pills, but she's not in the best condition. As soon as the doctor says her condition is stable, a psychologist will come in with her. Maybe they'll keep her in the psychiatric ward for a while. I don't know. How long will she be here? I asked. A few days, she said. I called her work and they put her on sick leave. Why? Are you going to serve her divorce papers here at the hospital? If she's here, yes, I said. How could you? She asked. It would kill her. She's already devastated enough as it is. Heavy shit, I said. She looked at me, shocked. Jim Carlyle, how can you be so cold and cruel? She asked. I looked at her for a moment before I spoke. I can be as cold and cruel as it takes, I said. She knew what she was doing when she left me, but she didn't care. Now she's going to have to pay for what she did to our family. I looked at Linda and saw a tear run down her cheek. I shook my head and left the room. When I got home, I did my best not to think about Linda. The first thing I needed to do was fix the door, so I went online and priced out doors. I realized I'd have to pay for the jam as well. Damn it! I took measurements and ordered a new door online. I also ordered new door locks. The website said my order would be delivered the next day, so I went to my neighbor Fred, who said he would help me hang the new door when it was delivered. The next 2 days were pretty much the same. I got up, ate, watched the news, then did chores around the house. When the door arrived, Fred and I hung it, and I replaced the door locks. Then I spent some time with my children. My parents were kind enough to drive them to school or daycare and pick them back up, but I wanted to see them as often as possible. It was hard to make them realize that their mother wouldn't be around as often as she used to. Emma was still afraid of adults, especially men, and I spent as much time with her as possible. Damn Linda for doing that, I thought. The day came when Linda was to be served with the divorce papers, and Lisa called me to let me know when the bailiff would show up. She advised me not to say anything until the papers were served. I gave her the room number and headed for the exit. I met the bailiff at the door and saw Linda's mother standing there, wiping tears from her face. Please don't do this to her, she begged. Not like this. I shook my head and went into the room with the bailiff. Linda was off the ventilator and lying in her bed, tears streaming down her cheek. The bailiff approached her. Linda Carlyle? He asked. It's me, she said quietly. He held out a manila envelope to her. You have been served with a summons, he said. In addition to the divorce papers, you will also learn that a restraining order has been issued against you and Mr. Lavaliere. You are both ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from your husband, your children, your husband's residence, and the residence of his parents. This includes your husband's place of employment. Failure to comply with this order will subject you to arrest and imprisonment. Do you understand? She nodded her head and turned to me. Can't we forget about it? She asked. It was just one night. One night is one night too many, Linda, I said. Emma still hasn't recovered from what your lover did to her. It never would have happened if you hadn't done what you did. Sign the papers, Linda. But I don't want a divorce, she said. What if I decide to fight it? Then I will have no choice but to formally charge you with adultery, I said. Adultery? She asked. Yeah, my lawyer says adultery is a misdemeanor in this state, I said. No one's ever been prosecuted for it yet, but there's always a first time. Just sign the papers and be done with it. If you look, you'll see that we're asking for half of what we already have in the bank. You'll also see that I'm asking for guardianship since you don't seem to be able to take care of yourself. Once the doctor says you are fine, I will allow you to see the children if they want to see you. Right now they don't. We're asking for a minimum amount of child support, but no more than that. You get what's yours, I get the house and what's mine. Under the circumstances, I think I'm being more than fair. Can I at least look at them before I sign? She asked. Of course, I said. She read the papers, tears streaming down her cheeks. After a few minutes, she sighed and asked for a pen. The process server held one out to her and watched her sign the papers. He signed as a witness and took them from her. "I'll give them to Miss Hawkins," he said. "Have a good day." As he left the room, Linda looked at me, hot tears streaming down her face. "Is there no way we can forget about this?" she pleaded. "I didn't intend to hurt you. It just happened." "Actually, you wanted to hurt me," I said. "You wasted no time leaving with asshole when he picked you up at that club. As soon as you saw him, he grabbed you. You didn't even bat an eye at me. There's no way I can forget what you did. Ever." She started crying even harder. "I'm sorry, Jim," she said. "Will you ever be able to forgive me?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "I don't forgive you, at least not now. Maybe in a few years, but not now. God knows I'll never be able to forget what you did." "I'm so sorry," she cried. Normally, I would have reached out to her to comfort her, but at that moment I felt nothing for her. It was as if she were a stranger on the street, one of thousands of others I could pass by in a day without even glancing at them. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Me too." I turned and walked out of the room and out of her life. Epilogue. The next few months were difficult for all of us. The children and I were learning to get along without Linda and getting into a routine. I learned everything that Linda used to do, mostly by trial and error. Being Mr. Mom was not easy, but I managed with some help from Mom. After a while, the children didn't miss their mother so much anymore. Emma went to counseling, and it helped a lot. Linda, by the way, tried to commit suicide 2 more times and was saved again by her mother. After the 3rd time, she was declared incompetent and placed in a long-term psychiatric facility run by the state. I hear that she spends most of her day in an almost catatonic state, not talking to anyone. She eats, breathes, goes to the bathroom, and sleeps, but that's pretty much it. The rest of the time, she sits in her room rocking back and forth and apparently daydreaming about happier times. I no longer socialize with the circle of friends we used to have. Dee exploded when she was handed the papers. Of course, I didn't get a dime from her, nor did I expect to. I just wanted her to know how much her actions, or lack thereof, had helped ruin 4 lives. I saw Dave a few months after that eventful Friday, and he told me they were getting a divorce. It seems she was trying to do the same thing Linda did, and their so-called friends had her back. "Now I know what you've been through," he told me. "I can't put into words how sorry I am that all this happened. I didn't get as much as I had hoped, but I still managed to get a very good amount of money from them, enough to put both kids through college and still have some left over. I was also able to get lifetime season tickets. Lavaliere was eventually fired, but only after he went to prison to serve 8 to 15 years, having been found guilty of all the charges against him. We ended up filing 2 lawsuits against the asshole. Over 50 men claimed their marriages were ruined by Lavaliere. Lisa put together a class action lawsuit and submitted it to the court. A few months later, the judge allowed it to be heard, and the games began. Lisa told me that no matter what happened, win, lose, or draw, the asshole would end up with no money. I filed a separate lawsuit against him for intentional infliction of mental anguish and damages as a result of his attack on me, the house, and my daughter. We won that lawsuit with a jury award of $1.5 million. It wasn't as much as we originally asked for, but it felt good that we won. Even though Lisa didn't ask for anything, I gave her a percentage for all her hard work. In July, I decided to sell the house. There were too many bad memories associated with it. I found a nice 3-bedroom apartment nearby that included security, bought it, and we moved in. With the help of a psychologist, I was slowly getting my life together, but I still didn't have much of a social life as I spent all my hours with my children. After all, they were still my top priority. Audrey introduced me to April, her friend who was going through a divorce, and we dated for a few months. She was nice and we seemed to hit it off, but I was still shy after what Linda had done. In December, Linda's doctor asked if I could bring the children to see her for Christmas. He told me that this visit might help bring Linda out of her persistent depression. Up until now, they said she was still unable to accept them. I discussed this with her mother and asked the children if they would like to see their mother for Christmas. To my surprise, both wanted to, and on Christmas Eve, I took them to an institution in the middle of a well-maintained area on the outskirts of town. The children were nervous at first, hesitant to approach her. I couldn't blame them. She looked exhausted and utterly devastated. The light in her eyes was gone, and she seemed to be looking at something a million miles away. She perked up, however, when the children approached her and gave me a weak smile. "Thank you for bringing them," she said quietly. I nodded my head and said nothing. By then, most of the hatred I had felt for her was gone, replaced by sadness. The doctor and I watched as she recounted what had happened. After about an hour, the doctor asked if I wanted to take the kids. I watched for a while and shook my head. "No, let her have it," I said. "It's Christmas after all." He smiled and nodded his head. We watched them talk and laugh. The doctor turned to me as Linda and the kids were spending time together. "I'm curious, Mr. Carlyle," he said. "What happened? I know her side of the story and I know what was reported. But I still don't know your story. Would you mind telling it to me?" Perhaps it will help me to understand her train of thought. I told him what happened and how I feel. Hopefully that would fill in some of the blanks. When I finished, he looked at me thoughtfully. You haven't thought about reconciliation? He asked. I shook my head. That's never going to happen, I said. She made a mistake, sure, but can't you get over it somehow? He asked me. No, Doc, I said. Leaving the creamer on all night is a mistake. I know, I've done that. What she did was cold and calculated. She conspired with her friends to make it happen. It's time for her to take responsibility for her actions and move on. Why don't you help her do that? All she wants is to be loved by her family, he said. Yeah, well then take one in one hand and shit in the other, and see which one fills up faster, I said. You seem to be holding a grudge, he said. How would you feel if you were me, Doc? I asked. Wouldn't you be angry if your wife turned her back and left you without even saying goodbye? I understand you, he admitted. How long do you think she'll be here? I asked. It's hard to say, he said. She's a ward of the state now. She has to show them that she can function independently in society without being a danger to herself or others. Right now, she's a long way from that. She could be here for years. I nodded my head understandingly. We remained silent and watched her interact with the children. Finally, I noticed that Linda was getting tired. She's been getting tired a lot easier lately, the doctor said. He walked over to her. Linda, it's time for you to take your medication. The children need to go home. She nodded her head and kissed the kids one last time. She looked at me. There was sadness in her eyes. Thank you very much, Jim, she said. I'd be glad if I could see them more often. I'm getting better, really. Yes, Linda, I can see that, I said. You look really good, she said. Are you seeing anyone? I date from time to time, but nothing serious, I said. I miss you. And I still love you, she said. I nodded my head. I miss the woman I married, I said. Get well, okay? And Merry Christmas. She smiled, and for a moment I saw a hint of the old Linda. Merry Christmas, she said. And thanks again. You're welcome, I said. The kids said goodbye and walked in my direction. Daddy, can we see her next week? Asked Emma. Can we? Please? Yes, may I, Daddy? Asked little Timmy. Oh, I think we can work something out, I said. Let's get you guys home, okay? Thus began a twice-a-month ritual. Most often the kids were picked up by Linda's mother, but sometimes I did it. A couple times I even had a little talk with her, but we never discussed asshole. There was no way I was going back to her, and she knew it. But she seemed to enjoy the few minutes we spent together. A year and a few days after that Friday when our lives were turned upside down, the first coronavirus death was reported in the United States. It was February 29th. Didn't I say February had to improve to suck? The next month, bans and orders to stay home were put in place. Oh yeah, that sucked. In a few months, it will be 2 years since Linda left the family with Susrans. And while things still suck, they aren't as bad as they used to be. For example, in June 2020, Lavaliere's team put their hands down and settled a class action lawsuit. Lisa was right. By the time all was said and done, asshole was penniless. We didn't get much, but it was nice to know that he was done for good. He'd lost everything. His money, his reputation as a hero to society, his fame, even his testicles, and his ability to ever experience an erection. Even Linda smiled at that. Maybe next February won't suck as much, or at least not as lame as the previous two. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. So subscribe to my channel and watch the next video.